To get started, select Solutions and then select New Solution from the top left of the screen. Enter a display name for the solution. For mine, I will call it Workplace HR. Once done, if you are not already set up as a publisher, you will need to add a new publisher. You can do this by selecting New Publisher. Enter your name, then enter a name for the solution without spaces. After this, you can set a prefix for the objects within the solution. I will set mine as MKG. After, you will want to set the default choice prefix to 10,000. This will make future easier when building the application. Once this is all complete, select Save. You can then select your newly created publisher name as the publisher for your solution. And finally, select Create. You will then want to create a table to enable you to set variables for each specific user. You can do this by selecting New, then Table. After, you can set a display name for the table. I will call mine Application Users. I will also set the primary column of the table to be called First Name. Once done, select Save. When it has loaded, select Edit to start adding new columns. To make things easier, you can hide the columns that are not relevant. We can then select Add New Column for the last name. As you remember, the primary column is the first name, so this will then give us what we need to calculate the full name in another column. To do this, once again, select Add New Column. We want to name this Last Name. To be able to work out the full name from the other columns, set the data type to be Formula. Then, in the formula bar, we can type first name, space, and symbol, open speech marks, and symbol space, and symbol, close speech marks, and symbol, last name. This will give us the full name. Once done, select Save. Then we want to create a column for their date of birth. I will name the column Date of Birth. I will set the data type to Date Only. And most importantly, you will need to select Advanced Options and set the time zone to be Date Only. This will make using this column as a filter whilst building the application easier. Once done, select Save. We also want to add an image column. This image can be used for in-app design and also enable the creation of ID cards. I will name the column ID Image. I will set the data type to Image, and I will set it as the primary image for the table. Once done, select Save. To add a choice column, we will first need to create a custom choice. To do this, from your solution, select Objects. Then select New, then More, and finally Choice. I will name this choice Employment Type, and I will create 3 different options: Employed Full-Time, Employed Part-Time, and finally Contractor. Once done, select Save. You can then head back to your table and use this choice as a new column. Do this by selecting Tables and then your table. Then you can add a new column for the choice. I will call this column Employment Type, and I will select Choice as the data type. You need to sync the custom choice you created. Simply type the first few characters in the search bar and select the choice you want to use. Once complete, select Save. You can then make use of the custom choice and add or delete choices without editing the main table. The last column we will create will also be a choice, but this time it will be a yes or no option. To do this, add a new column. I will call mine Currently Employed. And for the data type, select Choice Yes or No. We will want the default choice for this column to be Yes. After, select Save. To create your new Canvas app, from the main solution screen, select Objects. Then select New, then App, and finally Canvas App. I will call my app Employees App, and I will be making this a tablet application. However, we will be making the app responsive and user-friendly on mobile devices by configuring the settings within the app. To do this, select Create and wait for the app to load. Once loaded, you want to select Settings. The first thing I will configure in the settings is Modern Themes and Controls. You can find this by scrolling down on the General tab and selecting the option. After, you can head over to the Display tab and scroll down till you see Scale to Fit. You want to turn this off. This will enable a responsive design. Once done, select Close. I also like to save the app at this point to make sure we do not lose progress. For my screen layout design, I will be utilizing one of the pre-built screen templates PowerApps has to offer. After the new screen has loaded, you can go ahead and delete screen 1. I will rename my screen to Database Screen. Next, I will adjust the padding in each container so that we can use all the space available. Let's set Container 1 padding to 0 on all sides. Let's also make the border radius 0 and turn the drop shadow off. I will apply the same specifications to all of the containers within the screen. I will reduce the header container height to 65. To make things easier to see, I will set the border of the main and sidebar container to have a thickness of 1, and also to be black. To connect your table as a data source, select the Data tab and then select Add Data. Then find your table and select it to add it as a data source. After this, we will want to insert a gallery in the sidebar container to enable us to view and select the current items within our user's table. To do this, select the sidebar container and from the top bar, select Insert. Then you will want to select Vertical Gallery. We then want to select the data source we want to connect to the gallery. In this instance, it will be Application Users. Once connected, I will change the top label to display the full name. To do this, select the text label and in the formula bar, type this item. This will display a list of all columns available within the database which you can display. Select Full Name. In the lower label, I will display the user's employment type. I will then change the fill of the sidebar to give it a better look. I will also remove the separator bar within the user's gallery. We will need to change the height property of rectangle 1, as it was calculated with the separator we just removed. I will then change its fill property to follow a consistent color scheme. Then, select the image within the gallery and change its border radius to be the same as its width. This will make the image round, giving it a more appealing look. I will also set the border thickness to 1 and set the border color to match the current color scheme. Then, I will select the gallery and change the transition property to pop. Now, when the mouse is hovered over a gallery item, it will make that item stand out. You can view this by selecting the play button from the top right of the screen. After this, I will insert a horizontal container into the main container to act as a separate header for the form we'll be inserting after. Select the main container and then select Insert and then Horizontal Container. I will turn the flexible height off. I will change the border radius and drop shadow property to match the other containers within the screen. I will set its height property to be 40 and then change its color to match the color scheme. I want to display the name of the current selected user in the user's gallery. To do this, I will insert a text label into the form header we just inserted. I will turn flexible width on. I will set the minimum width to be 100. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to rename the gallery to make life easier moving forward. Select the gallery and rename it to Users Gal. After, you can select the text label, and for the text property you can type usersgal.selected.fullname. This will show the full name of the currently selected user in the gallery. Finally, let's make the font bold to stand out. Let's make sure our progress is saved. Now to insert a form into the main container. This form will enable us to view each item in the gallery with more detail, also enable us to be able to edit the item or add new. To do this, select Insert and in Modern Controls select Form. I will be using the modern form as I think it is a better look and feel. I want to change the minimum width to 250 and the minimum height to 250. This will make the form fit the screen when we are using the application on mobile devices. I will set the fill property of the form to match the current color scheme. Then we will want to connect the form to the same data source as our gallery. We want to select which columns of the data source we want visible within our form. I will delete the Created On field, and from the Properties panel of the form, I will select Fields. Then Add Fields. I will then add the fields I want to be displayed. After, select Add to load them into the form. Once loaded, we can then change the order of the items in the form to our preference. I will collapse the items to make it easier to see and arrange them as such. After this, click the X to close this panel. We will then set each field to be width fit, so that it will use the whole width of the current screen. To do this, select each field and in the Properties panel, set Width Fit to On. We can then change the item property of the form to display the currently selected item within our user's gallery. To do this, select the form. Then in the top left drop-down, find the item's property. In here we will want to type usersgal.selected. This will then display the currently selected item. Next, to enable us to edit the selected item, we will need to insert an icon which can be selected to change the current mode of the form. I will insert this icon into the form header container. Select the header container and then insert an edit icon. I will change the height of the icon to parent.height so that it fits the container. I will also change the width of the icon to self.width so that it is equal in size. After, I will change the color of the icon to match the current color scheme. Finally, I will set the padding on all sides to 5. This will make it more appealing within the container. Now, we will need to set a variable in order for us to be able to edit the current item displayed in the form. To do this, select the edit icon and in the top left drop-down, find the onSelect property. Then in the formula bar we can type set var form mode, form mode.edit. This will create a variable that we can then use within the default mode property of the form. We also need to make the variable set to view mode when the user visits the screen. To do this, copy the formula you just created and then from the tree view, select Database Screen. Then from the top left drop-down, select on Visible. In here you can paste the formula and then change the form mode to View instead of Edit. After this, you want to copy the new variable var form mode and paste it as the default mode property of the form. To do this, select the form and in the top left drop-down, select Default Mode. Then paste the variable in the formula bar. Now we can play the app to make sure the edit mode is set in place. Once done, we want to make it so that when the form is submitted, it makes the form to be view mode to confirm the submission. To do this, select the form, and from the top left drop-down, select on Success. Then in the formula bar type the same formula as before, but make the form mode to be view. Now when the form is successfully submitted, the form will automatically be in view mode. Now we need to make it so we can submit the form. We will do this with the current edit icon, but using the form mode variable. To start, select the icon and find the onSelect property. We want to insert an if statement here to recognize the current state of the form mode variable. We can type if var form mode equals form mode.view, set var form mode.edit. Otherwise, submit form1. Then for the icon property, we can use the same if statement to change the icon to a save button if the current state of the form mode variable is edit. Let's test this all out by adding an image to the currently selected item. To do this, select the play button, then select the edit icon to edit the form. Upload an image and select the save icon. You will see the app loading at the top of the screen. And when the form is in view mode and the icon changes to an edit icon, we will know it is successful. To be able to add new items with the same form, first we will have to add a new icon. We will insert an add icon into the form header container, and so that it follows the same consistent color scheme, I will set its display properties to be the same as the edit icon. Now for the onSelect property of this icon. We want this icon to give us a blank new form so that we can create a new item in the data source. To do this, we need to do three things. First, reset the form by typing reset form, form 1. Then get a new form by typing new form, form 1. Finally, we need to set the display mode of the form to new. To do this, we can use the variable we set previously. Set var form mode.new. We need to remember that when the form is in new mode, the user cannot edit. So we must change the visible property of the edit icon to avoid failures. We will set the visible property to if var form mode equals form mode.new false, otherwise true. Now when the user selects the add new icon, the edit icon will no longer be visible. Once done, you can copy the if statement and use it for the add icon to be able to save the form. We will do this by applying the same method we used with the edit icon. But before we paste that, let's put these three actions into a concurrent formula so that they run at the same time. Using concurrent on formulas can speed up the app. Then we can paste the if statement at the start so that if the form mode equals new, it will submit the form. Otherwise, it will prompt a new form. Let's test that out. We will also copy and paste the if statement into the icon formula so that if the form is in new mode, the icon will show as save. Lastly, we want to change the visible property of the add icon so that if the form is in edit mode, it will not be visible. To do this, in the visible formula bar type if var form mode equals form mode.edit false, otherwise true. Now let's test that all out by adding a new user to the table. Great, that all works. I forgot to adjust the icon's color, so I will do that. Then make sure our progress is saved. We need to add an email column to our data source. We will use this column as an identifier for when a user logs on to the application. Head over to your application's users table in your solution to get started. You can see the changes we made in our Canvas app are appearing in the table. Select Edit and then select Add New Column. I will call the column Work Email, as in future we will also be using other email fields, so we need to be specific. For the data type, I will select Email. Then select Save. Now that's done. Let's head back over to our app and select Edit. We will use the new column we just created to set a variable within the app's onStart property. This variable will recognize the current user when they log on to the app. We can then use this variable for completing actions throughout the user's experience on the app. When the app loads, the first thing we will have to do is add the new column into our form. To do this, select the form and from the Properties panel, select Edit Fields. Then you can select Add Fields and find the new column you just created. Remember to turn Flexible Width on as we did with the other fields. Once done, I am going to edit my record by selecting Play. I want to add my email to my item so that I can test the new variable we are about to create. Once done, let's make sure our progress is saved. Then, from the tree view, select App, and from the top left drop-down, you want to select the onStart property. In the formula bar, we will type the following. Set current user, look up application users table, where the work email field equals the current user's email. After, I will refresh my data source to make sure everything is up to date. Then select the three dots next to App on the tree view. From here, I can run the onStart property. Then if the formula we just created is successful, you will be able to view the current record by selecting the Variables tab on the left, then Global Variables. You will then see the variables you have, and can select the record you want to view. We can now use this variable to help us modify the main header container. Select the header container and then insert an image. Let's give the header some padding and then align the image central on the horizontal axis. I will make the image height 60, making it 5 less than the header. And let's just make sure the header's properties match what we are doing. I will then make the image width and border radius to be the same as the image height. This will make the image round in shape. Finally, I will give the image a border thickness of 1 and set it to follow the current color scheme. Once all that is done, we can then set the image to be the current logged in user's image according to your application users table. We will do this by using the variable we just created within the app's onStart property. Select the image, and for the image property type, current user, which is the name of the variable, .id image, which is the name of my image column in the user's table, and finally .value. This will show the image's value as is. I am then going to set the header's fill property to follow the current color scheme, and also add a text label which will display the user's name next to the image. Select the header container, insert a text label, set flexible width to true, make the minimum width 100, and for the text itself, in the formula bar type the same as you did for the image, but this time select full name. Let's adjust the font weight to semi-bold and set the color of the text to be white. What we need to do next is to set some variables so that when the application is played in mobile mode, it will only display certain containers. This will give it a responsive design. If we play the app now, you can see that when we are in mobile mode, there are too many elements on the screen, making it non-user friendly. But before I do that, I am going to adjust the look of my gallery to make it more appealing. To do this, I will insert a button into the gallery to act as a background. I will set its X property to be parent.templateWidth minus self.width. I will set its Y property to be parent.templateHeight minus self.height. This will make the button central to the gallery. Then I will set its width property to be parent.templateWidth minus 25. I will set its height property to parent.templateHeight minus 25. This will give the button some padding between its edges and the gallery border. Next, I will make the color match the current color scheme. We want to remove all the text. Reorder it so it is at the back. We can remove the side rectangle now. Then we can make the icon cover the gallery so that when any part is selected, that item is then in view. Let's drag the icon to the start. Change its width to parent.templateWidth, and change its height to parent.templateHeight. After this, we want to make all color properties of the icon to be transparent, as we don't want it to appear visible at any stage. Now, to set the variable to determine which container to show when in mobile mode, for the onSelect property of the icon within the gallery, you want to add set vargal selected true. This will recognize when the user selects a gallery item to view. To make the app only show the form once an item is selected, we must set a formula for the visible property of the main container. In the formula bar type, if app.activeScreen equals screenSize.small or screenSize.medium, then only show when vargal selected equals true, otherwise always be true. Next, we will need an icon to take us back to the gallery on mobile devices. To do this, I will copy the form header container and paste it in the main container. I will do this so I know its appearance is identical. Then remove all the icons and text, and for the container's visible property, we can type the following in the formula bar. In the formula bar type, if app.activeScreen equals screenSize.small or screenSize.medium, true otherwise false, This way the container will only be visible when in mobile mode. I am going to mark that formula out whilst we build the rest. Then we want to insert a new icon into the container to change the variable that controls the visibility of the form. I will insert a left arrow and I will format it to match the current icons and color scheme. Then for the onSelect property of the icon, we can type set var_gal selected to false. Now let's mark the visible formula back in. Then finally, we need to adjust the visible property of the sidebar container. This needs to be the opposite to the main container. To do this, all we need to do is copy the visible formula for the main container, paste it into the visible formula for the sidebar container, then add an exclamation mark before var_gal selected. This will tell the app that should be false instead of true. Now let's test that all out. Great, it works. I need to insert a cancel icon so that if a user starts making a new item, they can cancel it if required. To do this, I will insert a cancel icon into the form header and format it to match the other icons. Then for the onSelect property, I will type the following: reset form form1, set var form mode to form mode.view. This will return the form to its current state if a new item is cancelled. Then finally, we only want this icon to be visible when the form is in new mode. So for its visible property, I will type if var form mode equals form mode.new, true, otherwise false. Let's save our progress. The last thing we want to make sure is that when the application loads, it shows the gallery at first. To do this, I want to add a formula to the onStart property of our app. Set var_gal selected to be false.